Hi guys, Mr. Johnny here. In this video there will be third and last of the car stereos I have received from that guy. This one is the oldest one of the three. It's brown, whatever, but how can I say that it's old? Well, first of all, it's beaten up. Not because they're complete morons. Well, not just, probably. I don't know. Can't say for sure. But because it has tape transport, so it takes cassettes and has a FM tuner. Not only a FM tuner, but also medium wave and long wave tuner. See? A button there. Another thing that tells me that that's an old stuff is the volume control, which is one of the two. It doesn't matter because look at this. See? Comes to a stop and comes to a stop as well. That's a potentiometer. And this is not an encoder either because I cannot feel that you know when you turn the rotary encoder you feel the clicks, how the contacts inside may clap together. You feel that on the rotary encoder, but here I can't feel that. This, if I'm gonna open it, you will see that this is nothing else than a shaft which has a string on it, which snakes all around the place and comes to a polyvaricon, which is variable capacitor. So let's take it apart. To take this one apart, you need to take a couple of screws here, two in the back, two here and two here, to take the top cover and bottom cover correspondingly. After I did that, I can pry it up anyway, and inside you will see indeed what I was talking about. That's that tuning knob. Here you can see the shaft with the 4 turns of a string wound across it, on it. You can see the string snakes all over the place. And if I'm gonna move this, you will see the string moving. Actually, this will be... Now you will see the string moving. See? As I turn the knob. And when the string moves, it moves the plates inside of this polyvaricon, which is nothing else than a variable capacitor in older gear, in old stuff. Instead of this, there was an air capacitor, variable capacitor, which is just had an air as a dielectric. Those capacitors had and still have a nickname potato slicer or a bread slicer because it looks rather fabulous. Actually, I love the look of them, but I do have a receiver which uses them, has quite a large one, about this large. That's quite a nice potato slicer. But this one, you may be able to see the plates moving inside as I turn the knob. Look inside. Okay, if not, then not. But what I see here, first of all, I see a integrated circuit, which is Toshiba TA2003P from Toshiba. And that is nothing else. I know that I see. I've used it a couple of times myself, and that is nothing else than an FM AM receiver. Typical stuff. And actually this stereo is old enough to use one of these. See that? That's a little transformer. Why it is there? Well, this thing is nothing else than a so-called interstage transformer. These guys used to be very popular back in the day in a tube equipment and early days of transistor pocket radios and whatnot. If you crack open a really rather old pocket radio, transistor one, of course. I don't know any pocket tube radios. You'll see a bunch of these. There will be a couple of between the stages and there will be one on the output. In this particular case it is, I guess it is hooked to the preamplifier, which is made around 2 transistors here or more. They might be shoved all over the place, but the signal from the heads comes to the preamplifier built on transistors. Then preamplifier pushes that signal into the transformer, and output of the transformer goes to the power amplifier, which is right there. What's wrong with it? I don't know, it may be actually working alright. The only problem with it might be the fact noise alert maybe. I don't know. Sorry. Here you can see the string in all its glory. But what was I talking about? What's wrong with it is that I just, after I fiddled with the controls a little bit, I found one thing that is very bad. See this play? And that's not a play of the knob on the shaft of the potentiometer. That's a play of the shaft of the potentiometer itself. That tells me that this thing is worn out a lot. It's seen a lot of use and abuse. Obviously it's a volume control. What would you expect? It gets used very, very often. The tuning knob has quite a lot of slack as well, but I'm pretty confident that it wasn't completely solid from the factory. Oh damn it. I actually can see that those potentiometers are rather small. Maybe you'll be able to see them from the hole, through the hole. You can see the lugs right there on the top. 1, 2, and 3rd. So let me try to take the front panel away and we will see. Yeah. Maybe we should power it up first, but I'm pretty confident that the problem with it is that this volume control is so bad, or this one, is so bad, as you can see, it wobbles all over the place. What that will do is the shaft of the potentiometer is connected mechanically to the wiper of the potentiometer, and if the shaft is so loose, the wiper may never come in contact with the track on the potentiometer's not body, inside of the potentiometer, and the wiper is connected to the output. The signal comes into the track and signal is taken from the wiper. If wiper never comes in contact with the thing, you'll have no audio. Okay, I took the screws out and it kind of falls apart. Almost. Here we go. Nothing fantastic here. Just a spring-loaded door for the cassette compartment. And here, now you can see those potentiometers I was talking about. Wow! This thing is actually old enough that it uses these. These is little peculiar devices. Those are not LEDs. Those are little incandescent bulbs that have these colored sleeves on them to tint the light. See? It's not an LED, obviously, it's a bulb. Excuse the flies flying all over the place and making a racket. I'm kinda tired already killing those goddamn bastards. I should make a fly zapper, shouldn't I? I will. It's on my to-do list. I will make a video about it as soon as I will come to it, because I have quite a few things to do already. So last thing I need is more projects in the list. Okay. Well, that's not good. I see one thing which looks suspiciously. Here we are focused, alright. See this piece of wire which is floating free, and this one? Now I have a sneaky feeling that those two pieces should be connected together. It was a jumper, but somebody cut it for no apparent reason. The belt on this one is intact as well. Not as in as good of a shape as the one in a Samsung one. This one has is a bit rotten, but it still works so far. Let's see if I can show you the belt. You can see that it's a bit disgusting, hopefully. Again, I took my time and now I have a piece of fly on my hand. Come on, focus. It's cute. Maybe not so much, but there. God damn it, I'll have to now. I'll have to take my time now with a flathead screwdriver and prise these pieces of you know what, of the wall and of the ceiling, because the one I schmucked in the previous video is still there. It's not falling yet, and here is another one. Get the hell out of here. Here's another one. You probably got bored already because you came here to see this repaired, but instead Johnny performs a massacre act. Now, back to the thing I want to show. Here we have a couple of wires sticking to that connector, and in this case they're nice thing about this particular stereo is they are color coded, and that color code is pretty much standard. The yellow wire is the wire that goes through the fuse to the positive of your battery. Simple. The red wire goes from your ignition switch. I don't know the proper term to call it. I call it accessory enable, because when you switch it, there is particular position on that ignition switch which lets you turn on this kind of accessories, stereo and whatnot, and still have the ignition off. So that's what the thing is about. And another thing that kind of proves this point is that both of these two wires, you can see the red one there connected to the cathode of the diode right there. It's not easy to see, but you have to trust me on this one. The yellow one is easier to see. You can see a diode, and you can see a symbol of a diode on the seal screen on a PCB, and you can see that it is connected to the cathode as well. Those two are polarity protection diodes. They will conduct in case you reverse the polarity, and they will fry the fuse on each and on those lines that you messed up. Hopefully they will, because some people like to put a coin or something like that instead of a fuse, and I just and I ran so far away before the car catches on fire. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, here you can see that the yellow wire is this one and the red is this one, as you can see, and that corresponds to this contact and this contact. So I need to common them together. Here we go. And I will put a 12 volts from my supply, current limited supply, here. And if the thing will stay in place, of course. Okay, 12.6 volts applied. Zero consumption so far. Let's switch on the power. That's kinda interesting. Weird. Here we go. It was a poor contact before. I will clip the negative lead to the little nut that holds that power amplifier tab to the chassis, which acts as a heatsink for it. And now I have 120 milliamps consumption, nothing lit on the screen. On the screen. Johnny, you dumbass, he doesn't have a screen. None of the bulbs are lit. And now they are. Good. Let me try to show you. I found the switch. You can see that they glow when I press this switch. Okay. The current consumption without the bulbs, 120 milliamps. With the bulbs, 230. Now you understand why they use LEDs today. Okay. That's kind of bizarre, but current consumption looks alright. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look at the board again, and I already see a little problem. It's not a terrific problem, but it is a problem nonetheless. It is this capacitor, this one. It's not all that much bulged, but it is a little bulged and not completely flat like this one. Again, this looks suspiciously like a stereo amplifier, because I have few small caps nearby that may be a bypass caps for some voltages necessary for operation of this power amplifier chip. I have a big capacitor there, buried under wires. See? 1000 microfarad, 16 volt rated. That's I guess supply decoupling on this, which comes on this wire. And I have two of these. One of them are bulged. This one and this one. Very likely an output coupling capacitors. Let me take a look. Yes, they are coupling capacitors, and I traced the wires, and so this is your 12 volts from the battery, this is from the ignition switch. The black one is obviously ground. This one is a coax for obviously it's an antenna. Now about these two. these go into the speakers, their outputs. Are they two different speakers? Let's take a look on the other side. See, we have two greens and two grays here, but when we flip it, we see that both greens come to a single point, and so do the gray ones. Ta-da! And what point do they come to? They come to the negative of the capacitors. Unfortunately, I can't really show you that they do that, because the thing is pretty cramped, isn't it? But you have to trust me on this one. They do come. You can see that they are connected together. That's very easy to see. So that's one capacitor right here, this joint and this joint. Oh, excuse me, this joint, this one, and that one. And here is another capacitor, which is this joint and this joint. So both grays are connected together, and so are the green ones. So how I think it is made? It is a stereo amplifier, alright? Let's call the green one a left speaker. And let's call the gray one right speakers. So both are greens, green and right speaker, I guess. I forgot already. So that's a front right and that's a rear right. They are connected together. Essentially you have just a left speaker on the front connected to the left speaker on the rear. It's a stereo configuration, not a 4-channel one, not a true 4-channel one. Okay, enough babble. Let me get a test speaker and let me test it. Do we have a problem or not? Because this volume control, as you can see, is very loose, and I guess the problem with it is the wiper doesn't make contact, as I mentioned already. The video is getting terribly long, so you know what? I'm gonna end it here and make it into another part. Sorry for doing that, but you know I have a DSL connection with 512 kilobits per second, so thanks for watching, see ya!